I solemnly swear that I will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Hi everyone, Ron here from The Truth About Addiction. Today we got Tim Bradshaw as a special guest, and Tim's got a company called Art of Light Studios. He's a photographer, he's a human being, he's a man, and he's a recovering addict. And you know, I've known Tim for a little while now. How long have I known you, Tim?
1983, I first tried to get clean, and you were in the same rehab.
I think I showered you, didn't I?
I know that. Jesus, and I was a kid. I was like 19, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was probably too early, too young to be in there, I guess. But no, that's not true. I just wasn't ready at the time. I remember when you nearly chopped your arm off with the chain.
Yeah, look at that. Fuck. Still got that big scar there. Look right through the bone. Yeah.
I'd only been there about 3 days when you did that.
For the viewers, it wasn't intentional. It was an accident.
One of the boys in the Gunya Lodge was trying to take you down, I think.
There's a funny story to that, because the same guy that cut me, Steve Banks, I'd try to murder him in prison.
He's a big man.
He was a big guy, yeah. And we were using together on the street, and he started screwing my girl, and he came in. And I set him up I was going to stab him. And the guy that I'd sent up to get him to bring him down to the back where the toilets are got the wrong guy. And Banksy seen it go down. He climbed up the big steel bars and ran straight over to the other side of the office where the screws were and said, put me in protection. Ronnie Short's going to kill me. So, yeah, so it's a funny story. And
guys were tight as fuck.
Yeah, in the end, yeah, but that's using.
Yeah, totally.
And that's prison. You know, that's the bullshit life of being a junkie, criminal, fraud, good word, and living on this bravado bullshit. Fuck, I love being clean. So tell me your story about recovery, my friend. You're using story and your recovery story, but I love the recovery part of it. And I like and to be quite honest, Timmy, I've asked you to come on this show because I like the human being you've grown into.
Thank you. Well, you know, my story, you know, for a long time I thought it wasn't tough enough and hard enough, and I never did prison, so I'm not that guy. You know, I was too frightened to do crime. You know, I grew up on the North Shore of Sydney. You know, and I was adopted as a baby, and that was probably the catalyst for a lot of my abandonment stuff and rejection stuff, and that made me drove the sort of person that I am. But heroin wasn't my drug because like sex on heroin was like a 4-hour game of soccer for a 0-0 draw. You know, it was fucking, yeah. Anyway, I was an uppers guy, and I was in the music biz, and I smoked a lot of pot, and I shot a lot of speed, and all those drugs. You know, I'm just glad ice wasn't around when I got clean. But like I said to you before, I first tried to get clean when I was 19, and because I knew that there was something wrong, there was something different, and we talk about addiction as an illness, and I really related to that. I went into that facility, and it wasn't long after that the bloke who set it up had gone from there. There was a pamphlet about the disease of addiction, and I read it, and I was like, fuck, that's me. I am that guy, and I was like 19 at the time, and I hadn't done a lot of stuff that I ended up doing. When after I left that rehab, and I was there for 15 months, and then I left because like I said, I just wasn't ready. I don't think I was ready to, embrace abstinence. Really, what? Everything? Anyway, I used for another 10 years after that, and did all the shit that everyone does. And I was a pathetic using addict. I was just I think back on that stuff, and I just makes my skin crawl. I was no big time drug dealer again. Fucking, I didn't ever left the country, let alone the fucking suburb I was living in. I didn't smuggle drugs. I didn't. The funny thing was, when I got clean, I missed the first class travel and the hotel suites full of naked women and big piles of drugs that never fucking happened. I miss well, it was gonna. I was close. I was not close at all, but when I got clean, I was I was sad and I was lonely, and I'd been frightened all my life. I was just, completely lost. Recovery's, it's an extreme sport, mate. It's not for the faint of heart. If you're looking for an easy ride, this ain't it. But like you said, being clean is. I just couldn't imagine it any other way. They said to me, "How did you get clean?" Stopped using drugs. It's not rocket science. You get clean because, for whatever reason, I've known people who get clean because they're frightened they're going to go to prison again. Whatever. It doesn't matter what your reason is. It just matters that you hang in, and one fucking lousy day at a time. And that's kind of how I've done it. And I've had lots of ups and downs in recovery, and been married twice. The first one was 15 years of which was mostly great. But it ended, and the divorce is horrible for anybody. But for someone as insecure and doubtful as I am, it was really hard. But you get through it, and I'm married again now. The disease of forgetfulness, maybe, I don't know. I'm with a really good lady now. She's teaches yoga, and she's very funny, good person, studying psychology. So I'm in for a bit of a rocky ride, I guess. I don't know. What you expect when you get clean is not really what comes. You kind of think getting clean means you're going to be some squarehead and riding around on a bike, with a basic text in your hand saying, "Hey, have you heard the good word?" It's just nothing like that. Everything that I thought it would be, it's not. My whole world has just expanded, and all the shit that I was never able to do, I've done and can do. I mean, like I always often say to people, it's a good day to die. I'm not afraid of dying now because there's nothing really left that, I wouldn't be lying on my deathbed going, "Geez, I wish I'd fucking," because I've done some amazing things in nearly 30 years. Recovery is not for the, you don't have to be big and tough and have done lots of prison and used piles of heroin, and you can be a pot smoker. I sponsored a guy once, and he was a pot smoker, but he was as much of an addict as anybody. And addiction is not about what you used, how much money you had, or any of that stuff. It's, I was talking to someone today about it. It's not what, it's why. Why did you use? And for me, drugs were a sanctuary. I felt safe when I was stoned because I was so unsure of myself in the world, and I think when you get clean, that's the big journey, coming into yourself and feeling that you're okay in the world and you're not such a loser. I don't want to go into the rough details. I lived rough for a while. I did all the things that you do when you're a struggling addict. Stole from people that I loved, helped them look for their wallets. All that shit. I still feel a degree of shame about it, to be honest. I mean, I know it was addiction driven and all the rest of it, but I also had a sense of what was right and wrong. And I knew that if I was stealing money out of my mate's wallet, it wasn't the right thing to do. Anything for a feel good, I mean, my mate Wayne always talks about taking nutmeg in prison. Well, I did that. I wasn't in prison, but someone told me you get high. Okay, I'll give that a go. The insanity of what we do when we use it. You walk into some pub you've never been into, you walk up to the sleaziest looking fucker in the joint and you say, "Hey, anyone on?" And he points to the guy over there that you didn't see who looks actually sleazier. You walk up to him and say, "You're holding?" And he goes, "Yeah, mate." And you say, "Is it any good?"
Nah, shit.
Yeah. You take his word for it, and the first thing you do is go stick it straight in your arm. Like, that's insanity. But that's what we do. I don't have to do any of that shit now. No, I had a daughter when I was in recovery. I met her mother. I used to play in bands, and I was singing in the band, and I went to sing this night and I vomited everywhere because I'd been on it all day, and I was just like, right. And she was in the crowd, so she must have thought that's the I, I want him to be the father of my kid. And anyway, she came home with me that night, and we, we stayed together for 7 years, as you do. But I have a beautiful daughter from that relationship, and we're so tight, and it took a lot of work and a lot of time to repair the damage, that had been done. And I never thought I did any damage, because I wasn't that, hardcore criminal type fucking unfeeling dude. I was soft and gentle all the time, and man, I caused some harm to that girl, and we've worked pretty hard at that, and she's extraordinary, she's just written a movie that was #1 on Netflix worldwide, and she's the head of sales at Village Roadshow nationally, and like executive. I don't know how, she's like, and she's never used a drug in her life, doesn't want to. When I take her out for dinner, we go out and we sit down. And I said, "Do you want to have a drink?" She said, "Nah, Dad, if you're not going to get drunk, what's the point?" So, I've got this incredibly full life now, as you said, I'm working, I never thought I'd ever be a photographer. I worked in the music biz for 20 years, 25 years, and, decided that when my marriage ended, that I wanted to do something that I loved. So I got right into my photography, and that's, I'm shooting the Dixie Chicks on Saturday at the Hunter Valley, and I just got booked to shoot Tom Jones. I didn't, he was still alive, but anyway. So, shit like that. Last year I did Rod Stewart and Cyndi Lauper, and, sometimes I just have to pinch myself and go, fuck. And I made a lot of money in the music biz, lost it all in a divorce, and now I'm a starving artist. I got a lot of money in photography, but you spend it all on gear. But anyway, I get to do some crazy shit that I never thought I'd ever do, So I don't know, mate. It's the best people I've ever met are people in recovery. They're so generous and kind. I mean, I've got diabetes, and I had this thing with my eyes, and I'm getting injections in my eyes. And let me tell you, that's not fun. But every month I get one in each eye. After 20 odd, I just I can't afford to do this anymore. Well, my mate and your mate, you know who I'm talking about, just came around to see me one night and said, "Mate, me and Jenna, we're paying for this. You're doing it." And people do things like that for you that no one would have ever done that for me when I was using. They would have gone, "Fuck off. Go blind, motherfucker."
Yeah.
So I don't know, mate. I don't know if that tells you anything about me, but I just didn't want to dive too much into the using story.
No, mate, that's beautiful. And it's funny because I don't really ask many questions. I've written down here, I know your recovery story as far as, your ins and outs, and that you've stayed clean no matter what, which I think is the most important story.
Yep.
Through sickness and health, for better or worse, we stay clean, and I wrote down here friendships, because I know friendship's a big thing, because one of your mates is one of my mates. And I know that he's been a big part of your recovery, the same he's been a big part of my recovery.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I was actually on the phone to him before we've come on the Zoom. And the funny part is I helped him get clean. Then I relapsed, and then I detoxed on his floor. And then I'm the godfather to his daughter, his 37-year-old daughter, that's how this program works, and I love what we have. I love if I don't see you for 2 years, it doesn't matter. I didn't see you for 8 years. I went for that little Buddhist retreat up in the fucking valleys, came back very serene.
You get the connections, and they actually mean something.
Yeah.
Ever had a long-term friend? I've known, him for 27.5 years, and we've been really tight for the last probably 20. I found him quite intimidating at first because he was on your side of the track. I met him through his ex-wife, and my ex-wife were good mates, and so eventually, I was his best man. He was my best man. I never had a friend that long, you know.
What would be your biggest gift they've been given in recovery, Tim?
Biggest gift would be just freedom from that fucking constant self-obsession, the constant anxiety. The biggest gift is not a thing that you can hold. It's a thing that it's probably the only thing you can't take from me. You can take all my material shit. You know, I've heard you say in a meeting, if you don't like material stuff, let me know where you live. I'll be around with a truck.
Yeah, exactly.
And I like my material stuff, but, you know, it can all go, you know, and it did when my marriage ended. And, you know, but what I've got is, you know, I wouldn't, you get the key tag and say clean and serene for however long. I don't know if I'm serene, you know, but I've got to feel like I'm a good person. You know, that movie Saving Private Ryan at the start, you see the old bloke in the cemetery, and then it goes into the film, and then at the end it comes back and he's standing there and he breaks down because he's looking at the grave of the guy who saved his life. And, you know, when he's saving his life, when the guy's dying, he says to him, you earn this and earn this. You know, and I feel like recovery's like that. It's a gift. And if you don't respect it and you don't treat it with, you know, like real care, you know, you can lose it. And he calls his wife over and he says, tell me I've been a good man. Tell me I've been a good man. You know, every time I feel emotional now just talking about it because I wasn't a good man, you know. And, you know, people in my life now trust me, they rely on me. When my mum was dying, I was the guy, you know. I was the guy taking care of her, you know, and, you know, they'd written me out of the will, you know, and, you know, all that had been repaired. And, you know, my wife has 2 kids, and, you know, her daughter and I are so close. And she says to me, oh, you know, if I ever get married, I want you to walk me down the aisle, not my dad.
Yeah.
You know, that's not going to happen. Your dad's going to do that. But, you know, what she was saying to me was that, you know, I'd give, you know, what I'd given her, and all I've given her is what was given to me. You know, there's nothing original, you know, and she, you know, she tattooed on her body some of the things that I've said to her that I've got from what we do. It's all you, you know, don't blame anyone else. It starts with you. You can fix yourself. You can't fix anyone else, you know. And, you know, the other thing when she was going through a relationship breakup was that old chestnut, you know, pain is compulsory, but suffering's optional, you know, and she had that on her fucking Facebook or Instagram thing forever, you know, because she, you know, because the wisdom we get here, I mean, you know, it could be construed as trite at times, but fuck, it's effective, you know, and it really fucking helped her, you know. And so, you know, spreading recovery vibes without being a guy that, you know, I certainly don't preach about it. Attraction, not promotion. But you want to know, you know, Sarah's friends, my wife's friends, you know, why are you so calm, you know? Well, you know, because of this, you know. My life is so different than it would have been, you know. And yeah, I just think I would have been one of those miserable fuckers if I wasn't living under a tree in a park somewhere. I would have been that dude down the early opener, you know, getting $5 on a horse, trying to win, you know, the rent, you know. Oh, just would have been fucking horrendous, you know.
But it is a gift, as you said. It is a gift. No one can take it from us.
No, that's right.
I'm then going to throw it away.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I made a decision 37 years, 7 months, and 14 days ago that I'd rather put a gun in my mouth and blow my head off than go back to active addiction. And I still feel the same today.
Yeah, mate, I hear you. There's not, yeah, not one day have I regretted not using the night before, you know.
Yeah. No.
And, you know, when I've had a couple of back operations and stuff in recovery, and, you know, I've been on heavy pain meds, and, you know, it fucks you up. It's a dangerous time. We lose a lot of people through pain medication, but it just turns you into someone you don't want to be, you know. The first thing I notice when any of that stuff comes into my system is I just lose my connection with the world. You know, all of a sudden I'm angry, grumpy, you know. And my wife would probably tell you I'm that anyway. But yeah, I just noticed once that stuff, once I'm not clean, I just lose my connection with the world, you know. And I kind of like my connection with the world, you know. Drinking never made my life good. It just made me a complete arsehole.
I don't like anything that changes the way I feel.
That's it. Yeah.
I don't like anything that changes the way I feel. I like to feel.
So
I have massive arguments with doctors because I also have spinal fusion. You know, I'm also 69 years of age and I've got all this medical stuff. And they tell me I'm untreatable because I won't take their tablets. And I said to them, and they don't get it, but you know, you give me a tablet that's going to stop me from feeling pain. That same tablet stops me from feeling joy.
Yep.
And they look at me, what the fuck's he saying?
I know. Look, I don't take, you know, when I had that operations, you know, I'm not a hero. I took the, you know, big thing and the, you know, pain meds as prescribed. But, you know, they said, oh, you're probably going to be on these the rest of your life. And I'm like, no fucking way, I'm not. I just decided it wasn't going to stop me. So, you know, I go to the gym, I fucking lift weights and I, you know, do what I like to do. I'll be 60 next birthday, you know, and, you know, you fuck, man, like you just said, you know, when you get older, you live with pain. There's the name. Fucking hell, I'm old.
It's just part of life.
Yeah, that's it, mate. You know,
I don't know, a mate of mine who used to come and visit me in jail. He was 64 years sober when he died at 86 years of age, I think he was. And he used to say to me, getting old's not for pussies, kid.
It ain't, mate.
And I used to laugh. He said it right up till he died. He only died 2 years ago, but he died at 64 years sober.
Jesus.
Gentleman, mate, a beautiful man. And he said to me, Ronnie, the secret to recovery is acceptance.
I agree with that.
Yeah. He said, accept that you can't have a drink and have a good life. You got this fucked. And I accept
anything though, you know, like my diabetes, you got to accept it. Yeah. You know, your back fusions, you know, you got to live with them.
Yep.
You know,
accept it.
Fail against that stuff.
All the suffering comes from me on lack of acceptance.
I agree.
Acceptance is the key, mate. You know.
And me and hers. How's your acceptance?
Yeah. I like the one in A Few Good Men. You couldn't handle the truth.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite. That's why my company's called The Truth About Addiction. I love that saying, you know, you couldn't handle the truth. You know, you know me pretty well. I tell the truth.
Yeah.
To say I'm the most honest criminal in the fucking world. I never pretended to be not a criminal. You know what I mean? I never made out I was a fucking spiritual guru and then fucking ran in the back door. You know, I always said to everybody, I'm a fucking crook, you know, and that's the way it is, you know. Today I'm not. It's really nice. I like not being a crook. It took me hard. It was the hardest thing for me to stop.
Well,
you know?
It's probably another addiction in some ways.
Well, it was.
Yeah.
I had to put it on the program just for the day I don't commit a crime.
Yeah.
It was a way of life. What's recovery? A way of life.
Yeah.
Drug addiction, a way of life.
Way of death.
We have the power to choose what we do. I'm not a victim. Not for 1 minute have I ever claimed victim.
We're volunteers, mate.
Yeah, mate. Except for when it comes to women. Then I'm a hostage.
The final frontier, eh?
Mate, I've had a few and I know nothing about any of them.
Nah, well, that's probably okay, mate. We just accept them.
I've accepted that. Exactly right. I've accepted that I know shit all about them. I never will. And I'll just say, yes, sweetheart. No, honey, it's okay. I'll do that. And,
you know, when we moved into the flat that we're living in now, my wife said, all right, we're going to do this. We'll set it up like this. And it's my needs and blah, blah. Eventually I got to a point where I was like, oh, fuck this. You know, I can't argue about this anymore. Fucking looks amazing. Let them be.
Yeah, my wife makes all the good decisions.
Yeah, that's right. Wayne talks about Jen being the voice of reason.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, my wife's the voice of reason. All right, my friend. thank you very much for coming on about the truth about addiction.
Great to be here.
Somewhere, someone will listen to this and they'll go like, fuck yeah, I relate to that guy. And that's what this is all about. It's all about carrying the message to the addict who still suffers. And hopefully somebody gets something out of two old bastards talking about how it was like, what they did and what it's like today. Thanks, Timmy. Thanks very much.
Yeah, mate. See ya.
I solemnly swear that I will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.